Hi, happy Friday, and thank you for joining us on this Friday study circuit. And so here we basically, I don't know if Mr. Mohan is joining us for the first time. So the basic thing is that here we discuss the words, the talks, or whatever we have found about from various masters and mystics. So if we have any questions, or if we just found something beautiful that we want to share or reflect on together, we share that as well. We mostly focus on the works of Sri Aurobindo and Ma, but in case there's any other mystic or master that you're inspired with, you're welcome to share that as well. So thank you everyone for joining. And so whoever wants to go first, usually it's Chitra Di, but anybody who wants to go first can we can start with the session. Yeah, thank you. Shweta, you are on unmute. Would you want to go first today?
Oh, no, sorry. I
Yeah.
I have to unmute.
Okay.
Sorry, I have to mute it. It was just.
Yeah. Okay. So then, Chitradi, why don't you only start if you're okay with that?
Yeah, only a small thing I have. Actually, it is not small thing, but the meaning is very deeper. Yeah, that is Spontaneity in Aspiration. It is by Mother from Collected Works of Mother, Volume 6, page number 402, 403. Yeah, Spontaneity in Aspiration.
Spontaneity in aspiration.
Aspiration,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just screen share and you please tell me what is it.
Yeah.
So spontaneity and aspiration I put is, you said what was the date?
Yeah, date is not written here. Actually,
Okay.
I will read the question. First, a disciple is asking a question. Mother, when we make an effort, there is something in us which becomes very self-satisfied and boastful and contented with this effort, and that spoils everything. Then how can we get rid of this? No, this is, I think, something else about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so spontaneity and
But
aspiration.
but I will read, you just find out the answer. Oh, that is what looks on at what it is doing. There is always someone who observes when one is doing something. Now, sometimes he becomes proud. Obviously, this takes away much strength from the effort. I think it is that. It is the habit of looking at oneself acting, looking at oneself living. This must be, No, this is
Yeah,
different. Yeah.
this is what you said, right? Mother, when we make an effort, there's something in us which becomes very
Yeah,
self-satisfied.
yeah,
Yeah, so we
yeah, yeah,
found it. Okay, everybody can
yeah.
see my screen? Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah. So I will read from first. Yeah. That is what looks on it, what it is doing. There is always someone who observes when one is doing something. Now, sometimes he becomes proud. Obviously, this takes away much strength from the effort. I think it is that. It is the habit of looking at oneself acting, looking at oneself living. It is necessary to observe oneself, but I think this is a very important catch point, I think. But I think it is still more necessary to try to be absolutely sincere and spontaneous, very spontaneous in what one does. Not always to go on observing oneself, looking at what one is doing, judging oneself, sometimes severely. In fact, it is almost as bad as patting oneself with satisfaction. The two are equally bad. shall I go ahead, or we'll have some discussion about this actually?
Yeah, why don't you just finish this para and then we
Yeah,
can get
yeah. One should be so sincere in his aspiration that he does not even know he is aspiring. One so sincere in his aspiration that he does not even know he is aspiring, but he becomes the aspiration itself. When this indeed can be realized, one truly attains to an extraordinary power. Yeah. Next para also the continuation only, but we will have some discussion about this actually. Because here when I read this line, no, not judging or not criticizing too much, or at the same time you should not be very satisfied also. So between that very thin line, no, actually, not to feel too proud about it, or not to be very, not to have any inferior feeling also. At the same time, you should aspire, but even you should not know you are aspiring. I think that is the last stage.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. You know, again, you know how obviously the main thing is make me the perfect instrument of the divine. So if one actually can reach that stage of feeling truly that one is an instrument, then this would naturally just dissolve, right? Like instrument, what would it know? Yeah, it's really
even even telling as an instrument also, we don't know at which stage we can tell ourselves as an instrument, no? Yeah, not, even the humility also, sometimes a too proud state. Sri Aurobindo mentioned Savitri actually. So when I read this, all these things came to me. And also there is a saying in Tamil, if you apply that, really that the stage you will get, the aspiration itself. So it is said, I will tell in Tamil and translate in English. Avan arulale, avan tal panidhu. So when you are doing pranam to the lotus feet of the divine, that is also due to his grace only you are doing that pranam. Otherwise, you can't do that. So that shows you don't even feel that you are aspiring. Divine is making you to aspire, no? That feeling came when I read this actually. That's what I want to share. Others also can say, no, something, yeah.
one should be so sincere in his aspiration that he doesn't even know he is aspiring, that he becomes the aspiration itself. I mean, just again, I know I like to say this, but to just feel that even for 1 second in myself that this is my possibility gives me a lot of, I don't know, excitement and again, like groundedness, right? Like, wow. And you know, this also reminds me there was this I don't know who wrote this to who, like Tulsidas wrote to somebody or somebody wrote to Tulsidas. He was a very rich person, and whenever he would donate, because you know, olden times people used to give a lot of materialistic things in charity, right? So he would always be looking down, like he would never look at the person. So that one of the mystics asked the other mystic that why are you always looking down? So he had said something that I don't know, I was reminded. He had said that देनहार कोई और है, देवत है दिन रात, लोग भरम मुझ पे करें ताकि नीचे नैन. Like, I don't know, I don't remember this, but basically there's somebody else who's giving through me. But when people think that I am the one who's giving, I feel so, you know, kind of like, I don't know, ashamed or whatever the word was. So I have to look down because it's wrong, or, you know, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but again, it's so to feel that, you know, I'm just something in between and nothing. I'm nothing types. So that was very beautiful. Yeah. This is anybody else who wants to unmute and share on this, please do.
what she read from the third line made some sense to me, and that was that it is the habit of when we sort of decide to aspire generally. Now I'm going to aspire. Now I better get into that mode, and so we decide to aspire. And we've got a habit of observing, okay, I'm doing this way and I'm doing it that way. And one of the things we aspire for is that we should become spontaneous in aspiration and spontaneous in doing the act so that it becomes one with us. Correct? And then means the final stage is that one becomes the aspiration itself and one doesn't know. But even if we continue to, we manage to continue to aspire without observation and just do it spontaneously, I think, okay, we've made a couple of steps. That at every step you remember and you offer, you remember and you offer, you remember and you offer. And then one fine day you will be offering everything and not remembering.
Yeah, beautiful.
I understood that portion.
Yeah, it's the parallel consciousness, right? That to make an effort, it would be just a. You can't hear me?
No, you're getting cut off in the middle. Now it is.
So I was saying that what you shared reminded me of the parallel consciousness that Mother talks about, that you won't have to make an effort, right? No matter what you're doing, I will be connected, right? Like it would be that, okay, that's a separate you who's sitting with me and the other you is doing the whatever that needs to be done.
So there's no you left.
Yeah, there's no, yeah. After that, I think there's no you left.
Yeah. So that's what I felt.
Yeah. So I think Chitra ji got a phone call. Josna ji, would you want to just read the paragraph again so that, yeah, and then she can read the second one? Can you see it on my screen?
The first para or the second?
Yeah, the first one only. Then she continue with the second.
That's what looks on at what is doing.
Yeah. I
She's
finished
come.
it. Yeah, you continue, Josna ji. Yeah, you continue. Yeah.
There is always someone who observes when one is doing something. Now, sometimes he becomes proud. Obviously, this takes away much strength from the effort. I think it is that. It is the habit of looking at oneself acting, looking at oneself living. It is necessary to observe oneself, but I think it is still more necessary to try to be absolutely sincere and spontaneous. Very spontaneous in what one does. Not always to go on observing oneself, looking at what one is doing, or judging oneself, sometimes severely. In fact, it is almost as bad as patting oneself with satisfaction. The two are equally bad. One should be so sincere in his aspiration that he doesn't even know he is aspiring, that he becomes the aspiration itself. When this indeed can be realized, one truly attains to an extraordinary power. I think the second part of that middle sentence was, as bad as patting oneself with satisfaction is to stroke one's ego.
So it's almost like, if there's doership, right? Like the moment you do anything, like even if like observing is considered so high, right? Like it's considered like great, you're not just acting blindly. But whenever the doership, which I don't know, it's so inherent the way we live, comes up, no matter what the doer does, is same, right? Like if he's, I don't know, judging or if he's patting, those actions don't matter. It's the center that is wrong, the doer center. Somebody said something, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know who said that.
I think when you become a child of the Divine Mother, you won't feel that. You will be in total union with the Divine, and whatever you are doing comes from her only. That feeling, you won't even feel that you are doing it. That stage, yeah. But until that time, there will be something in everyone, no? Actually, we as if we are doing and we are aspiring. That feeling will be there, but I think it won't dominate us. Definitely, we will be knowing inside that even that aspiration we can do only because of divine grace. Even though that feeling of doing is there, we will always feel that one divine only is doing that also for us. Yeah. And also very thin line, that is too proud a state and feel like that.
Yes. So anybody else who wants to have, like, who wants to say anything on this, then we'll move to the second paragraph.
Can move to the second paragraph, please.
Okay. Chitraji?
Yeah, I will read. Yeah. 1 minute of this, and you can prepare years of realization. When one is no longer a self-regarding being, an ego looking at itself acting, when one becomes the action itself, above all in the aspiration, this truly is good. When there is no longer a person who is aspiring, when it is an aspiration which leaps up with a fully concentrated impulsion, then truly it goes very far. Otherwise, there is always mixed up in it a little vanity, a little self-complacency, a little self-pity also. All kinds of little things which come and spoil everything. But it is difficult. This line I like very much, but it is difficult. Mother is really patting us. Don't worry, it is difficult. But this one, 1 minute of this, a drop of this, Mother used to tell, no, the drop of divine love will heal everything. Like that, she's telling here, 1 minute of this aspiration will prepare years of realization, it seems. Yeah. Maybe if I think about those sadhaks, no, who were did service to Mother and Sri Aurobindo, like Champak Lal and Dyuman Boy, yeah, there are so many. Maybe they are all examples, we can say, actually.
Yeah, it's like you were speechless after reading something.
Yeah, speechless, yeah.
How do we know that we are conscious about ourselves? Every time any action is done, it is coming through five senses and the surroundings where we are dealing with some aspect of conversation or giving a decision or a suggestion. So how best we are projecting correctly to that viewpoint? Are we in the correct line, or there some divine grace is making us to talk like that or behave like that? in our actions. What is that divine power which every individual, do they have different levels of divine power inside them? And it goes on improving as the age goes and the experiences they and they meditate, whatever they reading and listening, contemplating, all that together, put together. Is there anything which is going on inside the body? So many trillions of cells are there. Is there a thought process which we have? Does it keep on changing the system in the body? And then our entire thing gets purified by stages so that the divine power inside us increases gradually, and we come to know that there is something I am different from what I was. To that extent, can we realize that I have my doubts on these issues? Can you all, if anybody throws light on, it may not be subject to what you have put those lines now for discussion. I may be deviating from the lines which you have said now. But I wanted, I have my doubts, that's why I had to speak so much. Sorry if I have gone out of the way.
Thank you, sir, for saying, sharing what you shared. I think you asked, or there were a lot of things in what you were saying, and I think my answer to all would be yes, but I don't know how it works, how, like, these concrete things, like, somehow when I go into them, I just feel lost, I just feel that, again, there's something clever in me who would rather not do, but just think how it's done, like, not experience, but get into the logics of this and that and stuff, and take me away from the actual doing. So, yeah, anybody want to unmute and share, because there were so many different aspects that he touched. Maybe he'll have to just mention them again, but anything, yeah, Jyotsna ji, you've unmuted if you want to.
The one salient thing that I understood from your conversation, from what you spoke, was the answer to this: when you are in interaction with anybody or many people or in any interaction, is that if you begin a phase of total, with a spirit of total surrender, pura arpan karna, you completely surrender what you are saying to the divine will, and then you start speaking without having planned much, a kind of an inspiration or a grace comes to you from wherever, and it speaks through you. It is not that somebody is higher or somebody is lower or somebody is well developed. No, it is just the amount of sincerity of your humility in surrender, and it comes to you and you speak spontaneously without ever realizing that. It is shocking at the end that you even said it or spoke it or even thought of it. And the more you surrender yourself, the more frequently you consciously surrender yourself, you will find it happening to you more often. I don't know if I am clear, sir, but
Okay.
But it does happen if we surrender in the true spirit. I'm a devotee of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. If you really surrender, it does happen. It comes to you, and you can start with very small things, and say, let me try, and I will just leave it to the divine will, but I will not plan and its conclusion. Like, I will give you a very small example, which may probably give you a concrete example. my daughter was to go somewhere abroad, and I was to take a decision as to between a couple of universities. And I was in an absolute quandary, and I was thinking. And then finally it flashed to me that in life, all the time, we are deciding someone's future, something, what is to be done, what not. So I said, this time, no, I will follow the path of complete surrender. I will not take any decision on it. I will wait for the signal. And whatever you decide, I'm going to stay fine by it. I will abide by it. And you will not believe how beautifully, after surrender, how beautifully things fell into place. And the child got exactly what she was wishing for. And I realized that, yes, if you surrender completely without interfering with by your own human mental influence, you give up everything, it happens.
What is exactly surrender mean? To whom we should surrender? And
Almighty.
Almighty in any form, any
Yes.
form. So every time, 24 hours, we should think of the Almighty. Then only we will be having rational decisions, and what we talk will be sensible. I mean to say. So every word what we speak, we should all the time surrender and then go and speak, or what is it? All the time surrender means you have to remember the Supreme throughout day, and the activities keep on happening. So every time we do anything by these five senses, first to surrender or ask permission or whatever signal we get from the divine power, we act for that at that moment. Is it like that, or surrendering and we get any power by surrendering to give proper decisions, and whatever we do, waiting for us Supreme to give a proper decision, as you said in your example. So you waited for the divine to interfere instead of your own thinking and your own capability to take a decision. It is the divine power which led you to get the decision made for the final call for your daughter. Am I correct?
This comes through a total faith. It is not that we decide and do something, or we ask permission. No, it is a very spontaneous thing which comes from within. You surrender, things move. They guide you, you go that path. It is, I don't,
Naji, if I may, yeah, I think, surrender is something like, what as an upar ki baat kar li. I think if we start small, like if we take baby steps, it's like, for me, it's like, offering and doing. Say, okay, I'm not well. I go to the doctor. I don't know if the doctor is good or not. I don't know. So before going inside, I'll be just offering that, say if I say believe in mother, so I'll say, mother, please take care. I'm going to the doctor. And then whatever the doctor says, I will take that as, okay, the kind of that, that's mother's thing. But if somebody asks me, if you want a second opinion, I might go for a second opinion. But again, I would offer that, mother, I've been, asked to go for a second opinion. You please take care. So basically, whoever you believe in, say for somebody, it could be Krishna, Rama, the avatars or any god, you basically, it's like to get, I guess, a bit step aside from being us all the time. I am controlling the world. I am ruling it. Everything is in my hands. You start recognizing that there's a bigger power. And once you become a bit more humbler and grounded, the power is waiting to help you and guide you. So it's not, and it's not a set formula. Like it's not, say, there's a baby bird, right? It has just come out of its egg. And you will say, tell me exactly how she is being taught to fly, like, will she fly? Maybe she doesn't fly. The birds don't talk. Maybe they do. How does it work? So the answer is like, I don't know how she flies, but that is a certainty, almost 100% certainty that yes, she will fly and nature will make it happen. And different birds could be teaching their babies to fly differently. Similarly, the masters, the mystics, the divine, they have different ways of, depending on where we are and how open we are and what we want, because we will be wanting different things in different stages also. We are guided as to how to go about it. But before surrendering, I think just remembering and offering that there's something bigger than me, kind of a thing. That's, I don't know what came to me, but this formula thing, even when Josna ji was sharing this, came to me that for everybody the experience is different, for everybody the ways are different, the means are different, the way they receive it, the energy is different, and we just have to believe, have faith in what we are receiving, because a lot of times, because we are so used to material things, this is in my hand, I can touch it, so I believe it. But if I'm feeling something in my heart, I will say, but there's no money in it, let me not do it, kind of a thing. So we have to start listening to what, I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's anybody else who would want to unmute and share that. That's what all I could think of.
What about Group Captain Karak? Would you like to say something on this?
I was reading a story about Hanuman. He 100% faith on Rama. So then somebody asked him that how do you describe your prayer to Rama, or how close you are? He says, when I feel that Rama is God and I am just doing seva, I'm doing seva to him. So that was a Daitavad sort of thing, duality. So both are different. The God is there and I am different from there. He's saying, when I feel that I am part of it, I am part of it. This is they call the special duality. So there's another stage where we feel that we are part of the God. The same Paramatma is also, we are the part of, Jivatma is the part of Paramatma. Then there was that ultimate. Then he says that sometimes I feel that I am the one with God. So so then there is no difference, because then I totally surrender myself to the God, to the Almighty. So how can this be achieved and all? This is a very different proposition. Maybe it varies by the different sadhak, those who are on that particular path. But once we do that, that becomes a total surrender, that ego goes off, and then we enjoy life actually. When that ego totally vanishes, it melts, like in Bible, Jesus said, "My Father and me are the one." So we're the same. So that then there is no duality actually. So then becomes the total surrender. Otherwise, it's very difficult to find out that how much of surrender I have done, how much of faith I have to scale, because I have to judge myself, and that how close I am in that scale. That much only I can comment on this.
Good.
Thank you.
So if anyone else wants to, comment on this or something else, please feel free to unmute. Yeah. So should we move on, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chitraji, would you, I don't know if we were done with the passage. Was there something else that you would wanted to share from the second paragraph, or from your end we were done? Anybody else who wants to comment on the second paragraph? I've just screen shared. I don't know if you can see it.
And mother is telling about that self-complacency and self-pity also will be there. She's telling, no, actually. That only, I mean, I'm really, when the aspiration is there, yeah, all the qualities, our qualities, no, human qualities, yes, self-complacency and self-pity. Sometimes we will really grumble. Yeah, we can't do anything. I'm nothing. I can't do. So that is all called self-pity. Yes, sometimes. Yes. I'm good for nothing. These words will come. Yes. That's why mother clearly pointed out that self-pity. But mother ended with this, but it is difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, what Captain Karak had shared last time, that if I take one step, the divine is taking
Correct.
10 towards me, right?
Sure.
So, yeah, so
This is
that's
personal experience is there, no? Sometimes we can't explain that. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, this is also reminding me again of, the war, the Kurukshetra war, that, Arjun, remember me and fight.
Correct. Yeah.
That become the action oneself. So, I was screen sharing before when.
I read that.
So again, it felt that, that, oh my, that's so beautiful that you have to do the action and you become the action. And then who is there to judge whether it's good or bad, right? You are the action. You're not the one doing it.
Rightly, you pointed out that self-pity. Here, Arjun have heard, no? Actually, that time he heard that self-pity,
Yeah.
And about that surrender also, that small book is there, no? From mother, actually. Sri Aurobindo clearly mentions, your surrender must be self-made and free. It must be the surrender of a living being, not of an inert automaton or mechanical tool. Now, this is a very, it is like injection, it is going inside, no? It must be the surrender of a living being, not of an inert automaton or mechanical tool. A glad and strong and helpful submission is demanded to the working of the divine force, the obedience of the illumined disciple of the truth, of the inner warrior who fights against obscurity and falsehood, of the faithful servant of the divine. So this is the true surrender actually, because we should not remain passive also, as if we surrendered everything and divine will do everything for us. No, that is the last stage, final stage. And also if part of the being surrenders, but another part reserves itself, follows its own way or makes its own conditions, then each time that happens, you are yourself pushing the divine grace away from you. These are all about surrender. He asked, no, what is his name actually? Mohanji.
No, actually there is no name. It's just a
okay.
poem.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chitraji.
Yeah. And another thing also, I will finish with this actually. Surrender of oneself and all one is and has, and every plane of the consciousness and every movement to the divine and the Shakti. So these are all about the surrender. Little bit. There are so much. Yeah.
Actually, self-pity is a weakness of the individual. When once you surrender truly to the divine, the self-pity for failures should not be coming on the way for progress. So self-pitying is a own underestimating his own capacities and the capabilities and whatever path he is taking, he is undermining his own self. That is why he is self-pity. That is, nobody is caring me. Nobody, though I am very truthful, still they are not behaving properly. I don't know, I am victim for the circumstances around me. So no, even if I am not well, nobody cares for me, ask me, how are you and all that. These are all self-pity. For nothing at all, you are ruining your own mind and thoughts. So once the surrender is so strong, self-pity should not be there at all. It should not come to me at all. It should not attack me at all. Self-pitying for nothing at all. So to the divine, if I truly surrender, that self-pity should not come to me in my system at all. It should be away. Self-pity is just a weakness only, I feel. That's my thinking.
Yes, sir. And I think what you said is true for all the movements, right? That if we actually surrender, why just self-pity, right? Everything that we do, like the fluctuations up and down, world of duality, like Mother in the same expert that Chitra ji had shared, she said positive or negative is the same, right? So anything for that matter is would not remain when we actually truly surrender. So that would be true for everything. Yeah, thank you. So whoever wants to go next, please unmute and share or comment like your own thing if you've got anything to share. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Taru, if no one else has anything, I had read something coincidentally. Just find out if there's, I think, should I read?
Yeah, please tell me what to put in the search word.
21st April 1929, offering one's will. It's very coincidental that I have read something like that today. Absolute sheer coincidence.
Yeah, last time also same thing. Yeah.
What is required of you? Is it there, Taru?
I am trying to find it. Wide offering. I think that works better. You read the first sentence. What is?
Offering one's will is the header.
Yeah.
What is required of you is not a passive surrender.
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah.
In which you become like a block. But to put your will at the disposal of the divine will. नहीं, वो जो पहले वाला था वो सही है.
यही वो थोड़ा सा, this is the full one. This is it, right? What is required of you is not a passive surrender. Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can... Okay, now again another sentence is coming. How can one make an offering of one's will? Question mark. Some people, it'll be probably inside this. Some people, when they offer their will, they stop willing. They don't will it at all. This is more convenient, but evidently this is not the right way.
You can continue reading if we find it, Otherwise, we are listening to you. Yeah,
How
thank
to
you.
offer one's will to the divine when one does not know what the divine will is. This is a very interesting problem. Mother says, Mother is saying all this. So she says, some men think that all that comes to them from outside is the divine will, and they accept it as such. Yes, unfortunately, but all they do is to accept the collective will or that of the strongest signal which comes. Should not one offer all one's willed actions to the divine? That is, first do the willed actions and then offer them. This is a sadhak probably asking. So Mother answers, perhaps you could first silence your will. That will come, Taru. Perhaps you could first silence your will and wait for the inner voice before acting. That would be wiser. You see, we have already found many ways of offering our will to the divine. First is not to will any longer. Second, do what everybody wants except oneself. And third is want no matter what and do no matter what. Then afterwards offer to the divine what one has done. Yeah, that's the one. But one can also formulate to oneself one's will and try to pass it before the screen of one's higher ideal and see what it looks like in front of this ideal, whether it cuts a fine figure or not. If it vacillates, you may be sure there is something there to check it up. If, on the other hand, it passes very quietly and without protest, you may risk doing what you wanted and see the result. But here too, we are before a very difficult problem. Those who wish to remain in an inner peace say that everything that happens is the will of God. This is very convenient. For being quiet, it is the best way. There is no better. If there is a better way, it is much more difficult. So if your will is contradicted, you say it is the will of God and you are quiet. You have done what you could and the result is different from what you expected and you are in peace. It's a long one. I mean, once somebody finds it, one can read through. But I thought this was pertinent to what was being discussed.
Yeah, I think we have to read it from the beginning itself now, but one can also formulate to oneself one's will. Yeah, at least twice or thrice I have to read this for me.
No,
Yeah,
no, but Chitradi,
yeah,
it is very, very significant.
yeah, I can understand. Yes.
Hai na, Taru?
Yeah, why don't you? Because it was a lot to take in because everything was like, okay, you want to wait here and just, reflect on it. So why don't, because you have already read it, would you like to just summarize this or what you resonated with specifically for us? And then you can share it and we'll all read it. Or we can just read it again, especially the last part.
Okay, we'll read the last part from but one can also formulate.
Yeah.
Okay. But one can also, I'll read little slow.
Yeah, yes.
Josna ji, why don't you give a bit of reference then so the people who missed the first part, they know what is being talked about.
There was a discussion which was going on how to surrender oneself or give one's will to the divine. And then we all sat down to discuss on it and we really didn't conclude anything, but we were trying to search ways and means as to how it is done and how do you know as to what is the divine will and what is your own devil's prompt inside you. So, funnily enough, I had read this today, means I was reading. And what mother says is, what is required of you is not a passive surrender. Usually it's very convenient to translate surrender into, I just leave everything to mother, let whatever have to happen, let it happen. No, that's not the way. It's got to be an active surrender wherein we actually give it, we offer it and give it at her feet. And what is required of you is not a passive surrender in which you become like a block, but to put your will at the disposal of the divine will. There is something that is, I don't know how to put it in words, but there is something called, it is coming from deep inside when a voice speaks to you and tickles you, and that is not a normal devil's voice or your mental formation. There is something which tells you, just surrender just now, see what happens, have the patience. We know I will do this way, this is my way. But we all know something. So coming back to that paragraph, perhaps you could first silence your will and wait for the inner voice before acting. I think we have to take a pause there. We have to, that would be wiser. I think we all have to sort of shanti se sit. You see, we have already found many ways of offering our will to the divine. First, not to will any longer. Second, do what everyone wants except oneself. Third, want no matter what and do no matter what. Means want nothing, do nothing, whatever may happen. Doesn't it translate into inaction?
Yes.
Of some extent.
Yeah. Then
silence, inaction. Do no matter what. And then afterwards, offer to the divine what one has done. That means if you, the way I'm interpreting is, if you silence yourself and do something, completely silent to outsiders' suggestions and your inside suggestions, and just stay silent and then do something in total inaction, then you offer it to the divine will. She says, offer to the divine what one has done. I think it's becoming a bit clearer, Hannah?
Yeah, now, yes.
But one can also formulate to oneself one's will and try to pass it before the screen of one's higher ideal.
Yes.
And see what it looks like in front of this ideal.
Right.
Whether it cuts a fine figure or not, if it vacillates, you may be sure there is something there to check up. If, on the other hand, it passes very quietly and without protest, you may risk doing what you wanted and see the result.
Yeah, I had experience in this. Yeah.
I too.
Yeah.
I have also gone through this, and I generally question myself quite a few times in a day. Had I gone and stood at the feet of mother and asked her, Ma, can I do this thing? She would have either told me, get out from here, or she would have said, okay, you could try it and fall in the ditch, or she would have said, do it. Some answer comes and you know it's not right. It sways. You also, Chitradi?
Yeah, I just demanded from mother after that action, why you didn't prevent me from doing that? I just demanded to mother like that. I don't know, I have a horrible experience like that. Yes.
But here too, we are before a very difficult problem. That she gives a example of both sides. So I think this was heavy enough for.
Yeah.
You want me to read
Again, one.
further?
No,
No,
I
no.
think, yeah,
It's
for
enough.
right now, yeah, this same.
Yeah.
And this part, which, I've highlighted in blue that you had read, like basically this seems like, how we are so clever. Like our
Correct.
ways of offering,
Yeah, yeah.
do this, we do this. And what was in the second paragraph, and a very, like another, because it sounds a bit tough, right? You put it before a screen and stuff. Like what I have, kind of personally done many a times is like, as if I am like mother is in the same room, right? Like, still, will I be doing this? That again is like this, but it's easier for me, in a simplistic way to have this thing that will I still want this? Will I still, can I ask mother for this? Rather than the society or somebody else, what would she think? Like, not that she's judging me, but in general, that is it, in, expanding me or
Yeah.
yeah.
Like you
The
have given the
society
example of
thing.
that
Yeah.
photo, no? When you were fighting, and
Yeah.
then you turned it around and continued the fight. That stuck in my head also, because when I am standing and I'm getting ready to fight, then suddenly I think if mother was standing here, what would she have said? Stupid girl. You immediately stop.
Yeah. That society interference, no, that time we couldn't, I mean, in my thing actually, I couldn't do anything. I just became a victim of society. I had horrible experience, and then I went and cried to mother, why everything like this happened? Why you allowed to happen like this? But I learned a lot of lessons from that, really. Maybe those incidents only made me to go more deeper, actually. As Monica always used to point out, no, that suffering and pain, yeah, that time. So maybe I had to learn that lessons. Because of that, she allowed those incidents to happen, and really it pushed me forward. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is my
Chitraji,
thing.
it's like, why are we here, right? We are not here to eat and sleep and,
Yeah,
watch TV or have like perfect relationships, right?
yeah,
Like we
correct.
all know that we are here to learn for our
Yeah,
growth. There's something that we need to experience and see.
correct.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that is like the base of it, right? Like my
Mm.
dad doesn't know Sri Aurobindo very well, but one thing he knows is, his line that, pain is the hammer of gods, which is, there to. So again, like that thing about pain and suffering,
Yeah,
like even in Sunlit Path, when we talk about faith, Mother says this, that it's an absolute fact that no matter what happens to you,
yeah,
it is for your progress. Like there is
yeah,
no if and but about it. So no,
correct.
going in that faith and
Yeah,
having, again in the first thing that we read, I wanted to say this, like a thing that we came up in the Harmony Circle this time was that unconditional faith.
correct.
One thing is that something happens to me and I say, oh, it's okay, it must be for my good. Oh, it's okay, it must be, it will be okay. But the dimension of faith is different.
Yeah,
Even if I know that, it could not be okay, but I know still in the big picture, because
yeah.
right now, say I'm playing the role of Taru, right, in this body, and it might not be good for her what happened. But for
Mm.
the me who's in her, it's for
Mm.
the good, kind of that unconditional, that I don't have to judge. I don't even have to be okay with it being okay. was like very beautiful. And when you were sharing, another thing I read very recently, it wasn't very spiritual, it was just a poster. It was like that, I saw a child crying in the street or shouting, like sobbing in the street, and I looked up to the gods, asking them that why, if you are here, why would this be? And then I realized that it's God, asking me to kind of take care of it. Kind like there's always a reason. And
Yes. Beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing these things. When they are lived experiences, they
Yeah.
really, everybody can feel that, and they are connected to their own experiences. And it sometimes, helps in letting go. Because
Definitely.
we being what we are, like the self-pity was saying, like I just see the play of victim identity and guilt consciousness, that how it's just like a, wheel.
Yeah.
Like again and again, again and then again and
Correct.
again, either want to be here or there, here or there. That we want to be boxed, and it's exhausting. So yeah, great. So Pradeep, Mohanji or Shweta, anybody, if you have anything to share, or even Dr. Captain Karak, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm calling you doctor again and again today, because you had, answered someone, but I don't think you had shared your own thing that you had bought to share today. So if you want to unmute and share with us, that would be lovely. Pradeep ji, are you sharing something?
No, nothing from my side. I'm just listening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Even I don't have anything to share. I'm just listening to it.
So Shweta, anything that you liked, like that you felt was, opened a say new window for you in today's session, if you want to share that. Otherwise, that's okay. I mean, I'm not putting any pressure on you. Yeah.
No, I'm processing actually.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. So Captain, do you have anything you would want to share with us now?
I don't have anything to share now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Taru, at the end of this,
Yeah.
2 pages, there's one thing in italics which is very significant. Just listen to it. It will come up in your thing, in your feed.
Yeah.
Only you must remember, Mother says, only you must remember that to surrender is to accept whatever is the result of your action. Though the result may be quite different from what you expect. On the other hand, if your surrender is passive, you will do nothing and try nothing. You will simply go to sleep and wait for a miracle. Now, to know whether your will or desire is in agreement with the divine will or not, you must look and see whether you have an answer or have no answer, whether you feel supported or whether you feel contradicted. Not by the mind or the vital or the body, but by that something which is always there deep in the inner being in your heart. I think it answers a lot to me.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And again, this week we were discussing in one of the sessions about the inner voice. And there was one thing that we, we were discussing, that how the inner voice, there's a voice of mind and there's a voice of heart. So somehow, like, the way I distinguish it and I had shared it was that the voice of mind always is very calculative, right? And it has like fear that if this doesn't happen, that would happen. If like whenever there is any past, future fear, calculation, like you have to be sure that this is like just the society, kind of the conditioning trying to rule you, because the voice of the heart is mostly unreasonable, right? Like it makes no sense, and yet I want to do it, right? Like and it's soft, like it doesn't have much force, right? Because it knows that if you want to pick it, otherwise, go make, live another 10 years and then come back to it. It's totally your thing. So unlike the voice of the ego, the voice of the mind, which is like shouting that, are you crazy? That voice is just like, yes, be crazy. So it's really beautiful. Like, and again, don't know much, but yeah, like you said, you just know.
So I'll try to read this. This is from Sunlit Path, How to Will Truly. It's two small paragraphs. Should I read it?
Yes, please.
Yes. So it says, to learn how to will is a very important thing. And to will truly, you must unify your being. In fact, to be a being, one must first unify oneself. If one is pulled by absolutely opposite tendencies, if one spends three-fourths of his life without being conscious of himself and the reasons why he does things, is one a real being? One does not exist. One is a mass of influences, movements, forces, actions, reactions, but one is not a being. One begins to become a being when he begins to have a will, and one can't have a will unless he is unified. And when you have a will, you will be able to say to the divine, I want what you want, but not before that. Because in order to want what the divine wants, you must have a will. Otherwise, you can will nothing at all. You would like it, you would like it very much. You would very much like to want what the divine wants to do. You don't possess a will to give to him and to put at his service.
So, Shweta, why don't you also share what stood out for you or what you saw through this?
No, so I was just going through this book to find what is there on, free will. So I found this, and this makes a lot of sense to me because, yeah, do you even have a will? If you're giving into just tendencies, if one spends, like it says, if one spends three-fourths of his life without being conscious of himself and the reasons why he does things, is one a real being? One does not exist. One is a mass of influences, movements, forces, actions, reactions, but one is not a being. So that again comes to doership only, I think. And being is so different from doing. And you also understand that, uh, even when you're not doing much and you're just being in the true essence, you get a lot of things done. Things get somehow things just materialize and things fall in place, and you don't have to do as much as a person is just doing in that mode of just doing, and yet there is a lot of restlessness because that person is not being able to rest in being. So being is so important. That's what I could understand from this.
Even talking about us physically, like our physical bodies, like, most of us, like, most of us all the time, we just feel we are this body, right? And yet, do we have any control over it, right? Like everything is happening by itself. And lot of times when we ask people that, why are you doing this? It's hurting you or it's an addiction. They'll say, oh, I have no control over it, right? So if I am thinking and living and being like totally the body, and yet I am very clearly saying that I cannot control anything in it. So it makes one wonder, okay, what exactly are we doing then, right? Like, कर क्या रहे हैं कि what, how are we doing, how are we existing, and how are we okay with existing in such superficiality and shallowness, that okay, I'm just the body, and yet I cannot control much of the body because I have patterns and tendencies and conditionings that are ruling me, and I'm fine with it. Don't know where I come from, don't know I'll go, don't know how I'm living, and yet, as long as I'm doing my daily chores and fulfilling my responsibilities, I'm all right. That is my existence. Like, wow. Like, it's like sometimes I wonder that when they were planning, when they must be planning that what a human would be like, I'm sure they would have said, okay, they can't be this foolish. And yet I feel that, I made that kind of the degree of the foolishness that no, I'm okay, I don't know anything, and yet I'm okay being, I don't know, whatever the world wants me to be, that pat on my back. So, but I don't have to go there again and again, because it's again could not be, I don't know, it doesn't take you anywhere, right? But it's humorous, it's funny if you think about it, like not feeling sad, I think it just pulls you down. But if you see the humor in it, it's like, wow, I'm just, yeah, so just wishing more for Mother's Grace to see more of foolishness and not being that, but whatever she wants.
Yeah, I think in the middle of everything, the one thing that you and Monica you speak about is free will, that free will is available every moment. And I think that is where things begin to change if we just understand that part, it's like the unified path, yeah.
But I think it was Chitra ji who had mentioned
Yeah.
that, like, when she was reading, that free will is also by grace, right? Like, I think it's my free will. Sorry, Chitra ji was saying, you please share.
No, actually, what Shweta mentioned, no, if you are in that being, things will fall in its place. You need not do so many things. Yeah, it is a true experience. True experience. I'm going through it now, actually. Yeah,
I
after all those pulling and I mean, pulled by all the tendencies, all the material forces, all the circumstances. But after when I realized that, only little bit realization I can say, but Divine Mother really granted me that opportunity to be actually, to be with that being and doing what is, I mean, very minimal activity I'm doing nowadays. I mean, only necessity, not, I mean, attending the functions or not attending the social duties. Everything is gone for the, thankfully, maybe that realization just came, and Divine Mother is helping me, I can say. Yeah, her grace only. It is not mine. I have to again remind myself that actually. But that step we have to take, at least one step. I realized that after a long time actually. But I don't regret also, because maybe this is the time for me. Yeah. Very beautifully she said, if you are in the being, things will automatically take place. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, Chitraji, like I
Yeah.
have always felt that, contemplated on that, because sometimes, what happens by nature, you're not a doer, or, like a person who's like really out there and doing things and all. But yet, I think just by sheer being and feeling as much, or, like very genuinely feeling things and all, you understand how things move anyway. You don't have to be right, there actually doing so many things which people feel, like yeah, you
Yeah.
also get. Yeah, so I know that there is a lot of judgment also passed because
Yeah.
of like that, actually doing things, and
Yeah.
but somehow I feel that that grace and also love and affection, it
Yeah.
always comes, and I feel where does it come from, that genuine love and affection from everybody? I think it's just because of the being part of you. Because doing wise, if you judge yourself, you can't even match. So many people are doing so much, but I feel there's that being, that essence of being gives you a lot of love, affection, and I feel God's grace, the divine grace, is always there. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I think a sense of calm comes into you when you start following your inner voice, or whatever you call it, the little small. There's a kind of a peace, a calm which starts to come into you, and then you know you crave more and more for that calm to last for a longer duration, and so all the more you stay in your inner being, or you stay with your quietness, and then it comes more, and then one tends to become more and more greedy for it, till a stage starts to come where you say, I may as well be like this most of the time or all the time. And it kind of comes. Like when I paint for 3 hours, 4 hours, depending on what are my other duties. And I realize it's absolute total silence, and there's nothing happening, in the brain is not ticking. And once you experience a kind of that calm, you don't want what is normal stuff.
Yeah.
But it is also very fulfilling. It's as if your uh, stomach is full, it starts to come, and you don't yearn for anything. You neither yearn for company, nor do you yearn for material things. And here is where I actually thank COVID, because it put such a clamp on our extracurricular activities with such a jerk that we started living life at grassroots level. And I'm sure a lot of people have galloped on the path much faster thanks to COVID.
Yeah.
I feel it helped a great deal. It has given us a lot of me time.
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
If I share this clip with NDTV, that Dr. Jyotsna is saying thank you to COVID, it would become such a rage. Just kidding. And yeah, totally relate, resonate with you. And there's one thing more, that a lot of time people think that you're suppressing, right? Like, okay, you don't want to indulge in, say, eating, because somehow simply you just don't feel that desire. Like you said, I love that example, that you are full. So you don't feel like, that thing that, okay, I'm empty and I have to complete. So again, that what I usually see, that like sometimes that I see is like just a stillness. It's okay. It's already there. Type that if I don't have to put it in more and more and more to feel something. So yeah, it was very beautifully explained by you, Dr. Jyotsna. Thank you.
When we say 1.5 years back, before that, we used to hunger. Isko milna hai, usko milna hai. Chalo chai peene jayenge, chaat khane jayenge, ye kare. We used to love doing a lot of things, but now I find a kind of a complacency. It's not laziness. It's a kind of a comfort which you find this is much more comforting and much better, which sets in. And you don't like unnecessary conversation or babble. You only want to speak to who you want to speak or interact with, and the rest is just, I think Captain will be able to give us a little more wisdom on that. Captain ji,
in
boliye.
fact, this COVID has taught all the people in the world, some 8 billion or so, the great lesson. It was never possible otherwise. because everybody is thinking, as you rightly said, that it has come to the grassroots level. So we started thinking, who are we, from where we came, where will we go? So all these thoughts, there was no time actually. We had been just living day-to-day life as a normal life, and we had been busy. So this has given a lot of insight into ourselves. So we could look inside and we could think. But to move on the, all religion and everybody, religious leaders and our, the respected leaders on those lines, everybody has given so much easy way of going actually. But somehow we made our life so complicated, we lost faith on those lines. And say, for example, like Ramakrishna Paramahansa, he used to say a very simple word, and not a single word, is extra, is not required. And so he's speaking to something, to a very layman language, and actually grassroots level where the village person will understand. And at the same time, he's talking about Upanishad or any other. And there also he's using a few words, and they're so meaningful, so meaningful. Nothing more can be spoken in those words actually, limited words. So the basic thing from the student life, we are told that try to be quiet, don't unnecessarily talk, because talking is also requires energy. You are a doctor, so you must be knowing that for everything there's energy. We are losing our energy unnecessarily, and we are becoming weaker and weaker. Now, once the mind, like the cat is out of the bag, so mind has gone in different sides. Like Ramakrishna Paramahansa says, it is like mustard seeds, which we have just thrown on the road. Now, if you say that, okay, you just get them in one place, so it is almost impossible. It is impossible to get all of them to one place. So similarly, our mind has gone in the various places, and to get them into the one place and be quiet and silent, then we can study who am I and why I came into this world and what is the purpose. All those things we start realizing. So because of the COVID now, somehow whatever maybe the belief and the level of thinking or insight, so all these things are coming. Is more than 1 year now, and definitely everybody is thinking, people have changed. The whole world, they have changed. It means whatever religion or whatever position the person is holding, I think that is definitely it was required, so that we are coming to our senses. We will not say that we have come to our senses, but maybe we are coming to our senses, what we are. And once we know what we are, then there is a chance that what we want to become, or what is the aim, what is the purpose of my life, why I came in this beautiful world. And the thing for which I can, we all can say, like oxygen, we are getting freely in abundance, and that all these trees and plants and all this daytime, they're making oxygen sufficient for us to survive in the night also. Again, they're waiting for sunrise to take place. Again, they start generating oxygen. Whereas for oxygen, there are so many people have died. So we are never thanking God or some superpower or something that they have given abundance, in abundance actually. So similarly, the water, the air we are breathing in, means everything God has given us in full actually. There is nothing that somebody is less intelligent or more intelligent, or somehow we ourselves are responsible for our the present position. Nobody could be blamed actually. That's why we have gone into this. So, so probably this sort of like Adi Shankaracharya says, Muhammadgar. Muhammadgar means, you have to hammer. Like, Mudgar is like a hammer. And Moha. So we are all in Moha actually. We are totally the dream. in the dream, actually, in the world, what we had been thinking and describing, and scientific development and technology and all this. So we got lost. We got lost. We are losing ourselves every day. So now probably the thing is coming in the opposite direction. So we started thinking and discovering ourselves, that who am I, and what is the purpose. So much today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's beautiful, really.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I'll have to listen to the recording twice or thrice again to get the whole beauty of what he just shared. There were so many things that came to me, but they don't, I mean, but how he said it was just.
It's beautiful.
So I think we can end on this note. And if we, like I was sharing in the beginning, if we are comfortable, if we can share a bit of what we read or discussed, or maybe just our reflections on the Friday study circle group, if we want to, 1 line, 10 lines, anything, or a screenshot of what we shared, that would be great, so that we all can, I don't know, stay more in touch with the words and the beauty. Thank you.
Can you upload from the study circle into this, the text? No, no. From a screenshot, from say from a book, like this, and you take a screen. You can't, na?
I don't know. Actually, I can look it up. Otherwise, yeah, just if you just click a picture with the phone and just, you know, share it, I think that would be faster. But I look it up if screenshots can be shared.
Or we have you are telling us to send. I thought you will share.
No, I am saying, yeah, I'm giving you the work. And testing reflections, because that's really, you know, adds the salt to the whole dish. If you have the time, the will, so.
Read the lines and our own reflections.
Yeah, you can either just share the snapshot of what you shared. If you want to feel like talking something, you can say this. Or if you want to make some reflection, anything that you are comfortable with, so that more people can go through it and we can live through it again, you know, so that it's a continuation. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thanks, Taru. It was a marathon.
Today it's really, from aspiration, it takes us to surrender. Yeah.
No, I think even I will go through the recording a few times, because Kadakji spoke solid Kadak stuff. So we have to recycle it.
Yeah. And it was so nice of you to ask him to speak. Like, he was the right person. Thank you, Jyotsna.
Oh, he always has some gold nuggets in each class.
Yeah.
Thank you, Captain.
Really. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.